Hey guys, welcome to the Podtendo podcast. We're going to spend a very short amount of time today kind of rambling. Listen for a sound clue if you want to get into the show proper. First couple minutes, though, is just us rambling, kind of talking about off-topic stuff, and then we'll get into the proper show. So just starting off, as we had kind of talked about on our last show, I think it was our last show, the best part of Podtendo is we don't listen to our old shows, so we have no idea what we just talked about. It's great.
I think it was Ninja Gaiden.
No, it was Earthbound.
God damn it.
Yeah, see? There you go. We don't even listen. But we had just got our first ever email. We just got our first ever email response. John David Pro writes, I was basically thanking him, offering him some of our free games, which again, null and void. Can't get those unless you email us and then apparently we offer them to you. I said, thank you. He doesn't have any kind of modern video games, but hopefully one day we'll get to the Mega Man X trilogy and or the Super Star Wars trilogy. Keep up the good work. So, John David, even though this is kind of show 49 and we're going to a monthly format after this, so our shows are going to slow down just significantly, we're going to do you both your requests, and you'll be seeing a Mega Man X probably around 52, 53, 51, as well as we're going to tackle the Super Star Wars trilogy for you. So there you go, sir. We do special requests, apparently.
Yeah, and that's good. It was nice to actually get some feedback for a change. It was kind of very cool.
Mm-hmm. I even read the email properly this time, so 50% of the time, if you send your email in, I'll read it correctly. The other time, I'm going to stutter and sound like an asshole, so...
It happens.
It sure does. Welcome. Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of our... I mean, I guess we could have started the show and then done our quick little intro, but you know things go.
Yeah, and I don't like when people linger too long on emails and just... It's nice to just get into the show instead of having 10 minutes of shout-outs or 10 minutes of sponsors.
Yeah.
Because we have none.
It's true. And normally we start with a weird rambling segment where we ask weird existential questions and we bitch about stuff that we don't like. But we're on a bit of a time crunch today just based on our bandwidth for the month. So we're trying to get this show under a certain time limit. So let's get into the show proper, shall we? Welcome to the Podtendo podcast, where we analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games. We can be contacted on Twitter at Podtendo Podcast, email us at podtendo@gmail.com, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/podtendo, or youtube.com at youtube.com/podtendo. I'm your co-host, Rubik's Cube Master Mick, and I'm joined every episode by my co-host,
Valley Girl Tyson.
There, look at all the energy I just brought there. Wasn't that just inspiring?
Inspiring, and then I dropped it down. I got to bring the energy up.
You got to be a downer, right? I'm the upper. I'm the Percocets and stuff like that. I'm the back alley drugs. You're the alcohol.
Gotcha.
Of this party,
Yeah. Everybody needs a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah, he feels good at first, but after a while, you just start getting upset, and for some reason, you want to kiss your uncle. So.
Whiskey makes you do all sorts of stupid shit.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. Tyson's your alcohol. I'm your back alley drugs. Let's get this party started on today's game, Ducktales for the NES. Woohoo! The release date for this title was September 14th, 1989. That's a fun day, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, man.
Amazing.
Shit. That's our mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
There you go. She was 32 this year. So, should have asked her and done a quiz. What was Mom's life like at 32?
Yeah, we really dropped the ball on this one.
God damn it. Shit.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, Tyson's birthday is 4 days away, so it's kind of exciting. Also, hey, we can literally have your theoretical birthday in the Wayback Machine. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, this is incredible. This is the first time the Wayback Machine has actually touched home. It's just always been entertaining, but now it's so this is what I was born into.
And I just had one the other, wasn't Kid Icarus right around my birthday? It was July 18th or something.
Yeah, it was really close.
All right. So apparently Tyson is DuckTales. I'm Kid Icarus. So If you are climbing up me and then you drop down, you will die. That's a pretty good way of describing me in a nutshell. So
Yeah, that's damn accurate.
And I'm literally just realizing this now as I'm looking through the notes. I wrote 4 pages of notes, and that never dawned on me. So, good job, team. Good job, team.
And we got to get through this.
All right. How Long to Beat has this game at 1.5 hours. Price at release was $50. If we factor in inflation, that's $86.27. Current eBay price for this game is you can get a copy from $17. And if you want a complete in-box sealed copy, that's $675. That's a pricey game. Current eShop price, you can get Ducktales Remastered for about $15 on your PS3s, 4s, Xboxes, Wii U's. So it's available. You can even get like a hard copy, I think, for the Wii U. So worth it. Probably
Definitely
worth it. And specifically on this show, if you're familiar, we do a Wayback Machine where we look back on the date that this game was released. And we look at shows, movies, music. We have a good time kind of going back in time. And we have a very special bonus episode of the Wayback Machine at the end of today's episode. So if you stick around past the Are You Buying It, we'll go back in time one more time. It's pretty exciting. So we're going to look at the first time it was released as well as the HD remaster, because this was a game that me and Tyson actually sat down and played through one night.
It was a good time. I've actually, and since I played the remaster, I decided to actually go back and play the NES version this time.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, me too. And it was we'll get to it. I've also, sometimes when I talk really fast on this podcast, I've started doing I've listened to all my podcasts at 1.5 speed, because you can get through a lot more just throughout the day. And I get like ridiculously paced. So I'm sorry.
And then you hear me slow Magoo over here.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I'm like, when I'm trying to read stuff or to speed through, I'll like speed talk, and when I'm listening to it, I'm like, what the fuck am I saying? Like, it doesn't even make sense. So I actually have to slow it down. So thanks a lot, Mick, you jerk. Wait, am I saying that to myself now or from the past to myself? Anyways, we're going to jump into our patented Wayback Machine to start off today's episode. And we're going to go back specifically to the date, September 14th, 1989, and see what was life like back then. And is this a time that we would like to go visit if we had a time machine?
Hell yeah.
All right, so we're going to look at our favorite TV shows. I'm going to offer up 2 shows to Tyson. He's going to decide which of these shows could potentially be his favorite. Could it be Doogie Howser, MD, Season 1, Episode 1, The Pilot? Dr. Douglas Doogie Howser takes the test to get his driver's license and helps a victim of a car accident. Doogie goes to a school dance and is nervous about kissing Wanda for the first time. He also learns a huge life lesson about being a doctor when he loses a patient for the first time. So, yikes. It's pretty deep stuff, Doogie Howser.
Yeah. Is this starring Neil Patrick Harris?
Yeah, and he's a doctor, and he's really smart, but he also apparently can't drive or kiss girls, so...
Isn't he a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, isn't he gay? Why would he want to kiss a girl? That's probably why he's nervous. Stupid 80s, not understanding homosexuality.
Yeah.
God damn it. Or would he prefer to watch Golden Girls, Season 5, Episode 1, Sick and Tired, Part 1? After 5 months of worrisome fatigue and pain, Dorothy believes she's seriously ill. 2 doctors tell her there's nothing wrong with her, as does a specialist, whom Sophia then rebukes. Traveling with Rose, Dorothy sees NYC neurologist, Dr. Bud, who tells her that she's just aging and any other problem is in her head, despite 2 psychiatrists assessing that she is mentally healthy. Dorothy breaks down, believing she is crazy, but Rose reassures her that she is sick. Sophia fears that losing Dorothea to an unknown disease. Blanche decides to become a novelist, but immediately suffers writer's block. So, of those 2 shows, Tyson, that are available right around when you were born, what would little baby Tyson want to watch?
Man, these are some glorious shows. Damn, I'm probably going to have to go with Doogie Howser here.
All right, congratulations, Doogie Howser, winner this week. Hooray! Now, Golden Girls is a very interesting show because it's all middle-aged to like elderly ladies starring on a pretty good sitcom that's available, and you don't see that everywhere else. Like nowadays, it's all sexy people in suits, and everyone has to be, you know, like attractive, and you can't have ugly people on TV. And if you do, like what was that one, Mike and Maldy, with like the two overweight people, and it had to be a complete comedy, right? Because like, oh, you're like, look, Melissa McCarthy is overweight. Oh man, she better be funny. Or like but this was like a serious kind of funny drama comedy sitcom with like older ladies. So I think it was kind of revolutionary for that time.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I had like a old coworker that was like really into like Golden Girls, and I always kept trying to get me to watch it. Like I've watched an episode too. It's a watchable show. It's not as bad as people like you would expect, being a 28-year-old male. Do I really care about these characters? And by the end of it, okay, that was actually entertaining. So. Yeah.
And I know nothing about Doogie Howser, so we're just not going to talk about it. Other top TV shows that would be available if we traveled back in time, we could watch Seinfeld, Beverly Hills, 90210, Roseanne, Law and Order, Cheers, Family Matters, back before it was like a weird time-traveling show with Urkel, and it was just like a black Chicago family trying to get by, and Law and Order. Yeah, so that's all right. Like, those are serviceable.
Yeah, that's all right.
Top cartoons available at the time were Captain N, the Game Master, The Smurfs, Garfield and Friends, Muppet Babies, Dink the Little Dinosaur, Disney's Gummy Bears / Winnie the Pooh Hour, The Real Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, and The Bugs Bunny and Tweety Show. So I feel like I watched those shows like into my late 20s, so not bad.
Yeah, these are some pretty fantastic cartoons.
Also, the Winnie the Pooh Show theme song, is that not one of the best theme songs of all time?
I did not expect when you played it in the previous episodes. Man, I totally spaced on what the theme song was. I even said it in the episode, and then I heard it. It's like, man, Winnie the Pooh, oh Pooh Bear.
Yeah, like I was listening to it, and there's not a lot of times where I'm like, I will sit there and I'm like, man, I wish I played a longer clip, and I turned up the music and was rocking out. But I was like, that's a good song, you know, like.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic. That was on, like, I want to say, like, Sunday night or something along those lines. But Disney's Gummy Bears, man, this is like the dawn of, like, the Disney Saturday afternoon. It's prime
just Disney
cartoon.
Afternoon.
Probably. I don't know.
Because we ran, like, we obviously didn't get it, but I think there was, like, a Disney Afternoon where it's just Disney cartoons every day and kids would watch. It's genius. Basically. It's genius. Which ties strongly into actually Ducktales, because Ducktales was kind of the first, the original G of the Disney cartoon lineup, so or the Disney Afternoon lineup. We might get to the rest of the Disney Afternoon games, but thanks to John David Perot, we're probably going to play Mega Man X now. Man, what a guy!
Yeah,
what a guy!
What a fan!
Top movies that were released September 14th, 1989. Before this date, on the 1st or the 8th, you could watch Cage or Kickboxer. And if you waited to the 15th, you would be able to see The Big Picture, In Country, Night Games, and Sea of Love. So potentially all the worst movies I've ever seen. So apparently that's all terrible movies.
Yeah, this movies right now apparently is just in a giant turd heap.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll look like a couple weeks before or after, see if there's like a big movie that pops up. Nothing. We don't have anything. So maybe some video games will tickle our fancy. We could be playing Castlevania 3, Super Mario Land, Mother, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Bonk's Adventure, Shadows of the Beast, Ninja Gaiden, or Batman the video game. So there's some Podtendo throwbacks. And if you're interested in listening to Castlevania 3, Super Mario Land, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Ninja Gaiden, or Batman the video game, listen to some of our past episodes and we'll tell you all about them. Shameless plug. But end with the top 3 songs according to the Billboard charts for September 89. And we'll see, is it worth living, probably based on this. So the number 3 song, Cold Hearted by Paula Abdul. Kind of like the Mariah Carey before Mariah Carey was a thing, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And then I feel like Janet Jackson took over the mantle for a little bit, and there was always like a pop princess, eh?
Yeah, then it kind of went to like what, Britney, then Beyonce.
And Christina, yeah, Beyonce's there too. Yeah, I feel like Beyonce's just kind of like a music diva. She's not so much like a pop teeny princess. So I don't know. I don't know who the current one is.
No, but I feel like neither was
Aria on a
Paul Abdul or Mariah Carey. I just kind of was thinking like a female vocalist that
yeah, but
just
they're
kinda,
like younger
dominates
and
the
they're like
charts
play more
for-
with the kids side. So like maybe like an Ariana Grande nowadays or something like that. Or like the Selena Gomez or like
probably.
Miley Cyrus is trying to like fill that mantle more, but they're just like straight up batshit crazy. So whereas like Paul Abdul, even like 30 years later, still has like a serviceable career and is like okay.
Yeah, kind of the joke that she was drunk all the time during American Idol. But to be fair, after like seriously listening to like how long one of those recording days were, and they did that for just like months on end, you're like, how do you people even get through the day? Like you had like 12 hours of just listening to people terribly sing and have to be polite, but make snide comments and then cut it all together like you're ripping them apart. You're like, it's too
Very
much
true.
work. It's too much work.
Very true. Or the number 2 song, Hanging Tough by New Kids on the Block. I mean, if you've watched it recently, you're a little bit more familiar with New Kids on the Block just from like that the only really weird funny moment in the one guy's bedroom, but
Yeah.
boy bands, they're great. Or the number 1 song, Don't Want to Lose You by Gloria Estefan. This year was not like I probably wouldn't leave my house or listen to the radio or go to the theaters, but it's all right for like video games, TVs, shows. It was okay.
Yeah. You can save a lot of money by not going to movies or not buying any CDs.
Just buy a lot of
I guess
copies
it'd be
of
cassettes, or what would it be? Cassettes or
records.
albums? Records?
Yeah, probably records and cassettes. People are like, cassettes? Psh, yeah, right. In my car? What am I, a billionaire?
Yeah.
What am I, take?
Double 8-track, man.
Yeah, I'm not rich like Scrooge McDuck. Hey, Ducktales. So, 89. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't as bad as like, was it 2013? Man, that year sucked.
Yeah, it was. That was not good.
Not good at all. So first memories. So now that we've been back, we're like, oh yeah, of course I remember that time. I remember the 4 days before I was born, like the back of my hand. We'll look at first memories of this game. So I feel like I may have heard of this game via Nintendo Power back in the day, but since we never owned an NES, I didn't really get a chance to play it. However, once upon a time, Tyson randomly came to visit me, and we decided to download the remaster on the virtual console, and we wrapped it in that very evening. It was a lot of fun. It was had fairly simple level designs and gameplay, and I noted several mechanics that would show up in later games that we played for this podcast, specifically Pogo, or like the cane bounce, or Link's down thrust. So
Yeah, I was trying to remember why I was in town, but yeah, it was just like stayed in town and then left for some reason.
yeah,
They're writing a test. Usually I write tests.
Maybe. But, like, couldn't you do that online? It was a Saturday, because I remember you came later, and I, like, woke up and, like, had my nap, and when it worked out, and then we got, like, maybe pizza or something. And it was like, you were like, oh, I'm going to come to hang out on Saturday, but you didn't show up till 6 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, we can just watch TV and go to bed, or we can play this game. So, no idea. Maybe you came looking for a car or something?
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
It's right around the time of the dream car hunting.
Yeah, one of those times. Any other first memories of this game?
Besides playing it with you, not overly. Yeah, I can't. Nothing springs to mind.
Well, maybe we'll remember a little bit more about what was going on when we go back to the second Wayback Machine at the end of today's episode. Moving on to the development details specifically for this game. So, although Capcom had previously worked with Disney in publishing the Hudson-produced Mickey Mousecapades in North America in 1988, DuckTales became the first licensed game from the company that they actually developed and shared many personnel with the original Mega Man series. It's easy to see why this game basically looks like a Mega Man clone, but with Scrooge McDuck. So, revisions of this game included the removal of crosses from the coffins in the Transylvania stage, replacing them with the letters RIP, replacing hamburgers as power-ups with ice cream, because we all know how offensive hamburgers are, right?
Yeah, apparently.
And the omission of an option for Scrooge to lose all his money, which was deemed to be too un-Scrooge-like. Okay. DuckTales was later ported to the Game Boy in the late 1990s. This version features the same gameplay, music, and levels as the original console, though the layout of each level was changed to accommodate the handheld's lower resolution screen. And then Stay tuned. I'm really pushing this way back. Like, I have it written throughout the notes every fifth line. There's another Wayback Machine at the end of the podcast, because you have to listen to a full podcast for us to get money off of it. If you download it and then delete it, it's the same. We don't care. I don't care if you listen to the end of the episode. Maybe I'm trying to tell myself that in the future.
Yeah, and we also don't make money on you listening to our episodes.
Yeah. There's no, again, if you just download it, and if you don't download it, that's fine. There's you don't affect my life at all. Thank you.
All of a sudden,
thank you if
you just became a telesalesman.
Yeah, thank you. I'm stay tuned to the end to find out more. I'm what's it called? E-Talk Canada or something like that. Be like, what is Britney Spears up to this week? We'll tell you right after this. Next, Bradley Beal. No, that's a fucking basketball player. Bradley Cooper's deal with depression led him down a dark road. I was just really depressed and on a dark road. But next, Rosie O'Donnell. And it's just this giant circle, and you're like, but they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
There you go.
That's E-Talk.
E-Talk, indeed. Maybe that was in case I forgot to tell people. Anyways, Capcom first announced the game at PAX East 2013 on March 22nd, 2013, while full development of the game started in late 2011. Disney and Capcom were previously discussing the possibility of remaking the game in 2010. The game's backgrounds and layouts were created by Disney television artist Mike Pereza and Rick Evans. The game features full voice acting from the characters, including the surviving members of the original animated series, such as Alan Young reprising his role as Scrooge McDuck, and June Fourier as Magica Despel. That's kind of neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if I really appreciated that because I played it on the NES. I feel like voice acting from the show definitely would have bumped it up a notch, you know?
Yeah, it's so interesting to see that how much actual voice acting does make a difference. Because I remember playing it with you. Now playing it's it'd be just nice to actually just play that nice, clean, upgraded, clean version with all the actors just reading out everything. It just made it more I don't know, a little bit more like a show.
Yeah. So the new thing that we're doing with our shows going forward, we're kind of dry running it, see which format works best. I kind of like this format. It's kind of start what's going on, a little bit of the game, our memories. We look at development details, cultural significance, then we get right back into the game. I think I like this format the best. So I don't know what happened to Earthbound Part 2, but I like this one better. So we're going to look at the cultural significance. Games that are bigger and broader and are iconic or have moments that live on in infamy, we'll talk about those a little bit more, but for some of the games we're just going to look at just what are they, right? So video games were dumping grounds in the 1980s. Most games were based on movies, TV shows, and comic books are absolutely just terrible. A production company or video game company would obtain the license for a title, pump out a poorly thought out game, place the box art on the cover, and sell it to unexpecting kids. With low expectations, kids would buy these games of movies they liked and watch the movies based on the crappy games. Business was good. So it was kind of that downward, you could throw Jurassic Park on a shitty game and people would buy it. Or potentially your parents buy you this crappy $5 game and you're more inclined to be like, hey, what's Jurassic Park about? And spend money on that property too. So it was kind of like a snowball effect from either side. And there was tons of terrible games. I made a list. I stuck mostly to NES games on this list, and I excluded E.T. E.T. is one of the worst games ever. Angry Video Game Nerd literally made a whole movie about it. So if you're interested, we could talk about it on a later show. Maybe we can dive into it. But for today, we're going to exclude
maybe Side Quest Cinema.
Ooh, a side quest. Well, we could do a side quest and a side quest cinema. Exploring E.T.
It'd be interesting to go that far back and look at it.
Yeah, if we could find I guess you'd find an emulator for the Atari, right? But again, possible. Very possible. So let's look at some movies that got it the worst. So just based on our experience, even though Tyson apparently likes it, we've got Jaws in '89, Top Gun in '87, Ghostbusters in '84, The Terminator in 1989, where you play as Kyle Reese, who goes around and kills Terminators while listening to an annoying 5-second loop, Back to the Future in '89, which is called one of the worst games ever, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1989, a game that totally suffers from NES syndrome to the extent where even mastering the skills and using a guide will barely help you beat this game. So these are beloved movies, right? Like, if you said those were your top 5 favorite movies, top 10 favorite movies, I'd be like, of course they are. They're great.
Yeah, makes sense. Like, a lot of these are just like classics, so.
Yeah, terrible. Jaws is okay, like it's a serviceable game, but again, you could beat it in maybe an hour and then never have to look at it again, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a great experience. It's not something I would go back and be like, oh man, you should play this game. I'd be like,
especially if you paid full price.
yeah, right. TV had some terrible entries. So there was Dallas Quest, based on the TV show Dallas. You are a detective hired by Sue Ellen to track down a map of Southern American oil fields in a text-based adventure. Or Elf, where he must find parts to fix his spaceship by traveling through caves, city streets, and the Tanner's family home. So that was pretty awful. Pretty awful. And I don't know.
I feel so sorry for kids.
Exactly, because I mean, you were like, oh, Dallas, my parents watched that. Or your parents were like, hey, this could be fun. You know, they could learn about all the things that happen in Dallas. Or, hey, Elf. And you just get stuck with these hammered shitty games. And you know what? They go on to later. Like X-Men, lots of X-Men games, Avengers, Spawn. I know we had Spawn for a while. I don't know, is Spawn a good game for the Super Nintendo?
Probably not. I've never beat it.
Yeah. Probably not. I don't know if you'd want to count Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a comic book or a TV show, but they had a pretty okay entry onto this list, but I don't think the game revolutionized everything, other than it was just kind of like a beat-em-up game, right? A side-scrolling beat-em-up. It was pretty good for a Ninja Turtle game, minus the underwater sections. Without cheats, I think you would really struggle. And then there was lots of terrible Spider-Man and Superman games. Because again, Spider-Man's a very easy sell. You make any game in the world and put Spider-Man on it, and people would buy it. Like, you could actually, in fact, instead of Angry Birds, just call it like Angry Spider-Man, and have Spider-Man make a web and then shoot like little egg things at little pigs. And that game probably would have sold as well as Angry Birds.
That is now probably a video game that is coming out. I'm just saying.
It's true. I'm sure if we went on the App Store, that's probably a thing, like Angry Spider-Man or something. So basically, you know, you're getting fisted as a kid if you're doing any properties based on stuff. Even nowadays, things aren't great. You know, like when comic book movies used to have like the releases like the X-Men and the Thors and Captain America, all of a sudden, like the summer movie had a video game pumped out beside it. They usually sucked a lot.
Yeah, they're usually like just absolute trash. There was a time where I was working at a video game store. It's like, just don't buy any video game. Like, if it's based on a movie or TV show, just don't buy it.
And I mean, I bought a GameCube a couple years ago from some kid that like his parents had just bought him an Xbox and they got rid of his GameCube, and he must have every single Disney, Pixar, and like kid game for the GameCube, and I just unboxed them lately. But I have things like Chicken Little and Teen Titans and like Finding Dory, and at some point I really want to sit down and play through them because I feel like they're going to be so crappy, but I just don't want to get rid of them because I'm like, I have these little like moments of shittiness just in disc form on my shelf, so it exists now. But there are some games that are great. So after the success of Mega Man's 1 and 2, Capcom was allowed to fully produce and develop Ducktales for Disney. Using roughly the same team that worked on Mega Man 1 and 2, they set off making an adventure game by creating fair gameplay, level design that makes sense, and enemies. They were the first to create an actual good game. Scrooge's Cane Pogo Hop was said to have influenced Link's Downthrust in Zelda 2. Terrible movies and TV show tie-ins still exist, but developers know that if you put an existing brand on your game, it will obviously sell better. But there are fewer examples of it, and fewer still are great games that exist. Mick, sometimes your writing is just dumb.
Sometimes you're a little
I
distracted.
think so. Well, I can't read and I can't write, so I'm doomed. I mean, I can barely talk, so oh boy. And on what cultures? 10 best video games based on TV shows. Ducktales ranks number 5 still. Other notables are Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at 4 and the Telltale Walking Dead series at number 1. So, still considered a phenomenal game. It's transcendent. It got its own HD remaster because like there was definitely a market for it. It sold really well when it came out. It wasn't one of these like weird pushes where they put like Bonk's Adventure. People in the HD, people would be like, "What is that? Like, why did you waste my time?" Mega Man had a remake for the PSP, Mega Man Powered Up, which was like a 3D remake of the original Mega Man. It didn't sell that well. Like, I mean, I realized the PSP was a crappy system, but it didn't sell great. This game, when it came out, it actually sold. People bought it. It was recognizable. People like this game. They remember it fondly, and I think that's pretty culturally significant.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I didn't know what to expect going into it, but after playing it, I can see why it's so beloved.
Yeah.
Because it is so replayable. There's so many hidden little like spots, and when you realize that as a kid, you just want to explore every little nook and cranny because it doesn't hinder you from moving around. Anyways, but I'll save that for later.
And well, we'll go right into the controls. So I mean, just with what you're saying, the levels are very open. You can explore. They don't just have enemies that hurt you for no reason. There's not things like knockback or like when you get hit you don't have invincibility, so you just take more damage, and levels are super unfair, and you have to play the game for 100 hours to learn how to like triple jump so you can make this one little tiny jump or you can't beat the game, like those kind of things. It is very serviceable, so it's excellent.
Yeah. And I think the boss battles are just like really well thought out. Like this game has some thought put into it where it's like it needs to be fun and playable for everyone, understandable enough so that kids can pick it up and become good at it. And that's not a lot of games do that. Games are just like, well, we just designed a game because we wanted to make this world, blah 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 blah. They actually were like, no, we want to make a game for kids based on this property, and they went out and they did that and just knocked it out of the park.
Very true. So you can move around, jump, perform a pogo hop, and use your cane to hit things. That's probably like the most difficult thing, to like walk up beside something. You kind of like swing almost like you're a golf club if you press into it, and then press B to hit it with, so it sends it across the screen. That's probably the hardest thing to figure out, but not impossible. The controls feel very tight. There aren't any cheap sections in the game. You explore 5 levels, and you can go in any order you want. It's definitely a unique challenge, and each kind of has its own secrets. And the secrets aren't necessary to progress, but they can help you get the best ending. Anything to add to the controls of this game?
No, not really. Man, this game is just... don't be afraid to just mess around and try to bounce on things, or like bounce on enemies and try to get up above walls that you shouldn't be able to get up to, because maybe there's some hidden shit back there.
Maybe there is. Let's go on to, with that, unless Tyson has something else to add, we'll move on to the story. You are Scrooge McDuck. You must explore the world to build up your empire and become the richest duck in the world. I'm going to miss these, one-sentence stories that explain games, Yeah,
especially since you don't need a lot to just get into this world and start exploring it.
Yeah, not a lot. You know what? I think I said the word retrospective before this part of the podcast today.
I think so.
It's pretty exciting because we're moving on to the level notes. So this is kind of a recounting, just a recap of the game. If you've never played it again, spoilers. There will be spoilers. Go play it for yourself. If you're just like, I'm not going to play this game. I want to hear about your guys' experience, get kind of idea of what happens in the game. And then maybe I'll try it out myself. This is for you. So we've got 5 levels to choose from, top to bottom. We start with the Amazon. It's a good intro level. There are some tricky platforming areas. The stupid bee sucks, and there's one part where you're jumping along these little platforms, and a bee hits you, and you fall off, and you die. And I hate it. Like, other than that, maybe the first 5 minutes into the game, I don't think, like, I had any trouble.
Nope. Good little intro section to just kind of let you get used to just the controls and how to bounce on things.
Yeah, and the boss of this was a jumping temple statue. It's not super tough. You can figure it out. I played this game and beat it without using any cheats. There was a couple points where I used save states, just because I didn't want to like especially on this part with the fucking bee. Man, that guy. Like I must have died like 10 times. Oh, and at one point I think I put on 9 lives instead of 3. But for the most part, this is one of the first games in a while I haven't like had to use cheats to beat. So, well, I guess there was Earthbound and Star Fox. But other than that, there you go. So, good job, Capcom.
Yeah, and the other thing about all these bosses is their attack patterns are really straightforward. So, kind of gives you a good feel for how to actually work your way. So once you get to them, you don't feel cheated or anything. You can kind of just like figure it out and just battle it. So again, one of those things where they designed it for kids. So it's approachable for anyone, but not too hard.
Very true. Off to Ducksylvania. I hate this level. It's a maze. You have to find mirrors that lead to other mirrors. There's fake walls, and you run around in circles. Because for some reason, you find the final mirror, and you pick the left one instead of the right one, and then you spend 30 minutes rechecking literally every single wall and mirror in the game. So, I hate you.
Yikes. Yeah, I just followed a guide.
Yeah, fair enough. Then we fight Magica Dispel. Not super tough. Pretty sure you use Pogo Jumper, and that's it.
Yeah, I think there's a swooping motion at some point.
Yeah, again, very manageable. Then we go to the African mines. We walk 2 feet in and we find out that we need a key. So we head back to the awful mansion. We find the key, which is actually very straightforward. Head on back to the mines and explore the easiest level of the game. I feel like I literally just walked around for a bit, and then I was attacked by the big slug guy. I don't know if that's what the boss's name, but that's what he was. He had a very similar pattern to Armor Armadillo in Mega Man X. So, if you're listening along, maybe in a couple episodes, we'll tell you all about Armor Armadillo. I'm plugging things. What is going on? Come on, man. Like, why are you plugging shit? Jesus Christ.
It's fine. Nobody cares.
I've been plugging our looking at Zelda for our next episode for like months.
Yeah, well, it's a big change.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to shock anybody because you always get that. You get that one positive email, but then we'll get like 50 negative emails and be like, well, do we continue doing this? Because people clearly hate us.
It's true. Very true.
Those are just haters.
Off to the Himalayas. Level 4, the game is covered with snow, and if you pogo stick hop, you get stuck. So great, they took away my favorite game mechanics, but it definitely kind of like switches up how you have to play this game. It feels a little bit more like an actual level since we have some more health, and I would say it's a bit more manageable than the first level. And the boss here was the Yeti. He wasn't very tough. Although not being able to pogo stick jump, it's definitely not fun, you know?
I still tried it.
Yeah, all the time. I got stuck. Like, I'm pretty sure at the boss, like with the Yeti, I kept getting stuck, and I was like, man, I'm dumb.
Just stop doing it for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Then we go on to the moon. This area I remember specifically from the HD remake very well. First, you must enter the UFO, get a key, find Gizmo Duck's remote, have him blow up a wall, and then you can fight the boss, the Electric Mouse Guy. Those are all official names, by the way. Electric Mouse Guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Very official. I don't know if that's just... I usually just write like what they are. Go from there. But once we beat all the levels, we can go on to, I think, whoever the boss is, Count Duckula, comes and steals our 4 or 5 treasures. And, oh yeah, it says that literally right there. Good job. We head back to Ducksylvania and go to the boss room. Like, Ducksylvania. Like, I hate that level. We were there 3 times. Go figure. We fight Count Duckula. Don't jump. Let his bat attack you, and then jump on it to hit Count Duckula. After you defeat him, Flintheart Golsgum shows up with a parrot, and you have to race to get the treasure. You win and become the richest duck in the world. Then you realize all along that Huey, Dewey, and Louie are the greatest treasure, and you have been the richest duck in the world all along.
Blah.
Best ending ever.
Yeah, well, it's to be expected. It's, gotta have it wrapped up. Family message. Brought to you by Disney.
Very true. Did you have any issues with those last couple levels?
No.
No.
This is one of those games where it's like, once you kind of get the feel for the controls, you don't really get wrecked. There's times where you can kind of mess up, but save states will save your butt. So
very nice. All right, so the different endings you can get. There's 3 different endings. Normal ending, you celebrate with a moderate heap of treasure. The secret ending, if you finish the game with more than $10 million, you will celebrate with a larger heap of treasure. And the super secret ending, if you end the game with $0, you will be shown to be very upset. To get this ending, you will need to have $6 million and use Scrooge's healing ability twice in the final battle. Each costs $3 million. So, there you go. It's pretty exciting. I think I had the normal ending.
Me as well.
So I definitely wasn't like a treasure hunting. I was just trying to beat the game. But it's kind of fun that you can go back and try and like do something on top of it, right? So kind of like the same vein as like Kid Icarus or something like that. So that was kind of neat. Current thoughts. This was one of the first NES games I beat without unnecessary cheats in a long while. It doesn't suffer too much from NES syndrome, and it's actually quite fair. If I was actually thinking, what I would have done is I would have looked at my top 10 NES games lists and redid them, but I didn't. So maybe next show. Next show will be a longer show anyways, so maybe we'll do that there. And then, because I'm pretty sure I had this on there, and I think this still is easily a top 10 game for me.
I think I missed it, so it definitely needs to be brought onto there.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk after the show, but like, I don't know. We'll just let's look back at our history, because there's lots of games that we missed that I think, like Metal Gear, that definitely would be on there. This game, so I don't know what I put on there instead, but sorry, everything. I'm gonna have to take off.
I'm not sorry to Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins sucks. That one's really bad. All right, so a final Are You Buying It? And then we'll do our bonus Wayback Machine. And we're out of here. And I think we probably are okay for time. So, an Are You Buying It? Oh, wait, do you have any current thoughts on this game, Tyson? Sorry.
No.
You like it. It's great.
It's fantastic. I've already ranted and raved. I don't keep my thoughts close to my chest. I like it. Play
awesome. So, final Are You Buying It? The boy's mother used to be Scrooge's McDuck's sidekick, but on one of his missions, she disappeared. He is now tasked to take care of the boys due to his guilt.
Well, isn't it like Donald leaves them with him?
Because Donald's their uncle, though. So what happened to their parents?
Could be.
I don't know. I couldn't really find any theories. So Ducktales is kind of an open and shut book. So, oh, you know what? If we were doing movie,
we'll see. We'll see if the new TV show goes down any roads.
It's true. And one thing, I guess we could have looked at like the DuckTales movie, The Secret of the Magic Lamp, at some point, but we're not really doing side quest cinemas just yet. So
give us time or feedback.
Yeah.
If you give us feedback, we're more likely to do
true.
things.
We could do special requests. We literally will do special requests. So that ends today's show. DuckTales. Decent time. Now we've got like a couple minutes here. See if we can get back through our bonus Wayback Machine. We're going to go to August 13th, 2013, when this HD remaster of this game came out. So just like the first format, we're going to look at 2 shows, and Tyson's going to decide which are his favorites. So the first is The Simpsons. Lisa Goes Gaga, Season 23, Episode 22. Eccentric pop star Lady Gaga stops by Springfield to help Lisa, who was voted Springfield's Elementary's least popular student and is now an outcast thanks to ghostwriting positive messages on the school's online forum. And the rest of the town boosts her self-esteem. So that sounds pretty great.
I've seen this episode. I'm not a fan. Yeah. I like Lady Gaga, and I don't mind Lisa. Well, I used to hate Lisa, but I don't mind Lisa. Yeah, this episode's just not great. Why is there a magical train?
Yeah.
But on Sherlock.
All right, on to, or the other show, Sherlock, The Reichenbach Fall. Season 2, Episode 3. Moriarty launches a simultaneous heist on the Tower of London, Bank of England, and Pentonville Prison using just a few lines of code that can break and miss any security crimes, which he allows himself to be captured and put on trial. He secures not guilty by intimidating the jury and visiting Sherlock, explaining he still intends to burn him, taunting him with the final problem. Soon afterwards, Moriarty arranges for the kidnapping of American ambassador's children who are terrified of Sherlock once he has them rescued, leading to Sherlock to become a leading suspect. Sherlock escapes arrest and learns Moriarty is using an alias of an actor who claims to have hired by Sherlock and has seeded the press with a story of Sherlock being a fraud. The two meet on the roof of a hospital, where Moriarty explains that an assassin will kill his friends if Sherlock does not commit suicide. He wants Sherlock to do this to cement his story after explaining the God Code was a myth. After a tense conversation, which Moriarty realizes Sherlock would be willing to do anything to Moriarty to get him to call off the assassins, Moriarty kills himself to force Sherlock to do the same. Sherlock calls John and confesses to being a fraud. John refuses to believe him and pleads for him to come down. Sherlock says his final goodbye and then steps off the roof. So, it's a pretty fun episode.
Yeah. I actually remember watching this because there's only like such few episodes in these seasons. You're like, are they actually going to come back for another season after this? So it's pretty good.
Excellent. Do you have a pick, Sherlock or The Simpsons?
Probably going to say Sherlock.
Awesome. Excellent. Other top TV shows that would be available at the time are Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Mad Men, Orange is the New Black, The Walking Dead, and The Americans. So, it's like decent. Apparently this part of 2013 isn't awful.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still some... Ooh, there's actually a good couple of cartoons coming up, so maybe it isn't too bad.
Top cartoons: Gravity Falls, My Little Pony, Regular Show, The Amazing World of Gumball, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Adventure Time. So I'm guessing you're a fan of Gravity Falls?
And Regular Show.
Yep. Movies that were released. We've got Disney's Planes, Elysium, a bunch of movies I've never heard of. And still in theaters this week are We're the Millers, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. So kind of a down week. And I think like the biggest like summer blockbuster was probably The Wolverine. So, yeah.
It's
and
okay.
Video games released this year were BioShock Infinite, Grand Theft Auto 5, The Last of Us, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, Super Mario World 3D World, Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, Pikmin 3, and Luigi's Mansion 2.
So pretty good year for video games.
Video games, great. TV, it's not bad. Cartoons, the movies suck. Let's see if the songs can give us something to cheer up or to like go for, and then we'll end with a final goodbye. So, top songs. The number 3 song was The number 2 song was Can't Hold Us by Macklemore. Freddie Macklemore again. And the number 1 song was Blurred Lines by It was that summer, apparently.
Joys.
So, yeah, I don't know if we're going to go back to this date either. Movies, you suck.
But to be fair, in 89, music and movies sucked.
I feel like...
But...
everything else?
2013, cartoons, TV, video games, all pretty decent. Yep. So I'm saying, time doesn't change.
It's true. Very true. So...
movies generally suck. Music generally sucks. Starts with them, generally sucks. Now, back to you, Mick.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Tyson. Thank you.
I'm terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, with that, we'll say a final goodbye, and we'll get out of here. So, thanks for listening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we'll see you for our big 50th show.
Absolutely. It's going to be a big change.
All right. See you guys. Thank you for listening.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery.